Good evening, everyone. It's nice to meet many of you again, and some of you who are coming for the first time. Welcome to Curiosity Talks. Wisdom Circle believes that never retires. It's a matter of changing minds. That's why our motto tagline is where experience meets opportunity. This is what our Curiosity Talks are designed to do: spark new thinking, introduce fresh perspectives, and create a space where members can explore ideas beyond their immediate experience.
Everyone, so lovely to see you all and to meet you all. And I look forward to this 1 hour together. Okay, so we've got a great turnout. Thank you all once again for coming to this. And I think we should edit this slide, Ria. There's a welcome to all those who are joining the second session and a welcome back for the ones who attended the first one. So welcome and welcome back, everyone. And I know that there's a many of you who've come back from the first session. In fact, most. And I'm delighted that many more have joined today. So I'm just going to get started. And having said that, we are very sensitive to the fact that it's a two-part series, but we're also very sensitive to the fact that some of you are joining in for the second only. And so perhaps you've got a chance to view the video. If not, that's fine. Do it at leisure. I will do a quick 10-minute recap of what we did last time. And then we'll jump into an exciting set of ideas slash concepts slash activities straight from Designing Your Life. So welcome. And I think I'm going to formally get started. Ria, is that fine? Introductions. Lovely. Welcome and welcome back. And so thank you all and welcome again. So like I said, let me do a very quick recap so we can get everyone who's new on board and then move to the newer sessions, right? Okay, yeah. Oh, I should have used this time to everyone. I hope you got the message. I hope you have a couple of sheets of A4 sheets and any writing instrument that you may prefer. So if not, please do get some writing instrument and some paper. Okay. So I'll let you people do that on the side while I continue. Okay. So all right. So a quick recap, folks. This comes from Stanford. There's a Stanford Life Design Lab there. It's been there for 15 years. A lot of research has gone into it. It's not just, I'm drawn to it because it's not just management or, pop management self-help book, but rooted in science and evidence and 15 years of validation at a great university such as Stanford. So I found it extremely credible and, more importantly, hugely useful in my lived experiences, mapping back to my lived experiences, and after I started to embrace in a more formal way the life design. There's plenty of literature, and you can Google Designing Your Life in Stanford. We've had a lot of fun doing this in India, from 16-year-olds to 60-year-olds. We've worked with all kinds of cohorts, all with different use cases. The model is held up very well, and it's also held up not just in short, but including in long formats. My course which I teach at Ashoka is a credit course. It spans for 10 weeks. So what we did last time and this time and lots more, this can go on for 10 weeks and it's still not enough. So it's about life. It'll never be enough. But I hope that I can seed some thoughts here, and then we can get going. It is a framework. I just wanted to underscore the point that it's a framework. And a framework is more than just an idea. It's a set of tools, concepts, principles, which basically provides the scaffolding, and it's gives you the structure, but not a solution. And each person is unique. Each person is unique in the 8 billion in the world, and needs a different set of solutions, ideas, and is the way forward. So the framework allows for that. So the essence of the framework is to live a life by default, not by default, but by design. All right. And what this really means is, well, two, three things. First, a lot of our lives we live by default, and the social narratives we grow up with, the stories we are told, the social media that we consume, the mythology that we read, the tales that our grandparents tell us, and then the decisions they
Right.
implore us to take, or they prod us to take, or they inspire us to take. And as we grow up, and clearly we do listen to a lot of that, and there's wisdom and value in that. And yet at the same time, there is designing your life says, rather than keep going, and then one day wake up and say, how did I get here, which we've seen a lot of our past attendees, including in the 30s, 40s, 50s. They've had great careers, but then they wake up one day and say, how did we get here? And it wasn't as flourishing or as happy as we imagined it to be. So what DYL says is, to the extent we can, we must live it by design, and not everything is in our control. We are sensitive to that, but there is a lot that we can design, and there's a lot that we can do towards a more fulfilling and flourishing life. And the second comment I want to make is, and that's why it's underlined and it's in blue, not just by design, but the area and the discipline of design. So the big contribution of Bill and Dave is to bring the design lens to life design. I mean, it's you can look at life through philosophy, through religion, through theology, through psychology, and all are useful. Their contribution, and what I'm excited and inviting you to consider today is, what does it mean to be a designer? What does life by design mean? And the question I pose to you is, isn't life a design project? It's certainly not a project where you compute your way forward, or you have a formula. You iterate your way forward, one day at a time, one action at a time, one lived experience at a time. And by living it in its fullest, we learn something. And if we could reflect on it, then we are better prepared for tomorrow, and we're making more intentional choices for a life of greater flourishing. So that's the central thesis of life by design, right? The second interesting concept that DYL brings, and DYL is Designing Your Life framework, brings to us is that we may start our journeys, whichever part of life we are at, whether you're at 60 right now or a 16-year-old. We have a point A where we are at, and we put a point B, and we try and find the best, optimal, quickest direction and journey to point B. But life happens, and we realize that it didn't play out the way we want. So what Designing Your Life implores us to do is embrace the concept of wayfinding, which basically says that life is going to be a series of meanderings. It's not navigation as in Google Maps, point A to point B. We will meander, and we'll move around. And with every meander and experiment and iteration, we learn something new, and we change course. And those who don't change course, even though it's not working out for them, will at some point wake up and say, how did we get here? So we're inviting you to not change course every day, but periodically. The body tells you, your mind tells you, your spirit tells you how it's going, and to iteratively build your way forward as you would in a design project. It's iterative, and it's a series of experiments, and we are intentional. And this mindset, while it might sound pretty trivial right now, makes all the difference. And I speak from experience. I speak with working with lots of people. This ability to constantly do small experiments, to fail small, to learn and to adapt, and to do that without too much of emotion is really highly valuable. And I invite you to wayfinding. Um, the next concept we talked about was design thinking. This is the process that designers use. I won't get into details. Happy to share resources. We talked about it last time. But Stanford and the Kellys and everyone else, they codified how designers think. And the act of design goes through a process, an iterative process, a back and forth process. It's not necessarily linear, but this is the design thinking process. I'm going to spend time, just a moment, on empathize. And empathize is typically when we are building products and services for customers, we empathize with our customer and build great products and services, having deeply understood what they want and need, whether they state it or they don't state it. And that's Bill and Dave's big thing here. And they're saying, but when do we and how often do we empathize with our, because in designing your life, we are our customers. We are designing for ourselves. And we need deep empathy for ourselves to really understand our needs and aspirations, and to understand what will light us up, what our values are, and to then define what we want to build in our life, and then be a designer and have lots of ideas rather than zeroing in on one very early, and then test those ideas through prototypes and then incrementally build forward in life. So this is a very important slide. This is the scaffolding. This is the framework on which it's built. We empathize with self. We ask ourselves, what's a good problem or a good state to be in? We look at multiple ideas, what we call divergent thinking. Then we converge to a few. We prototype, test, and see if it works. And if it works, we scale it. If it doesn't work, we meander a bit and we pivot. That's the design process. And I would highly recommend reflection on this, and Google design thinking and how it might apply to life design is what designing your life is. We also talked very quickly, I'll tell you, about limiting beliefs that hold us back. So while we may have a great problem to solve for and we have ideas and innovations, we also want to get unstuck. All of us, each one of us, and have limiting beliefs that hold us back, beliefs that do not allow us to meet the aspirations or to be truly who we deserve to be, could be, and have the potential to be. And these are also programs that we've learned and heard and conditioned to. And I don't have to get into details. All of us with our age and experience realize and understand that so many things hold us back or holds others back. The time is to excavate our limiting beliefs, and we've sent you literature on that. And one is always surprised, at least I am, when I start to excavate what holds me back and where my aspirations are not met. And then to take that and then to do what we call reframing, which is the designer's superpower. So when we reframe something, we are seeing it through a different lens, viewing it differently, unexpectedly, and when you reframe, the solution space opens up. So a reframe would be, do I want to lose weight? Or a reframe would be, do I want to be fitter? A reframe would be, do I want to build a better phone or do I want to build a device? That's a reframe. Do I want my child to get good grades or do I want my child to be prepared for the world that's going to come? Going further, do I want my child to be fully prepared for the world or do I want him to be a good human being? These are reframes, and to each person, their reframe. And you can go on and on and on for almost anything in life, for business problems, for personal stuff. So we talked about reframing, design superpower. and we looked at some statements and some reframes and with you. You've probably, and this is how transitions work. It's really a journey from a certain identity that we had to uncovering possibilities. And today we're going to do a mini exercise around that. This is who I was versus who could I be, and this is the big thing around design and design thinking and this framework. And it's really around what could I be, and sometimes that gets lost. Certainty versus exploration. The one thing that we want to move is from complete need for answers to a mindset of need for experimentation. This is applicable as much and as when we are 16 or as we are at 60, because we figure life out through experimentation, and not every answer is readily available to us because there is no real formula. Clarity, yes, but certainty is always elusive, and we get further clarity through experimentation. And the third tension, especially during transition, is planning versus allowing. And now, again, small cliched set of words, but we tend to plan our way forward, but allow us to emerge. And designing is an emergent discipline, and things emerge. No one knew when they started iPhone that it would go up to version 17, and no one knows whether it'll go to version 177. It continues to emerge as the world emerges, as we emerge, as customers emerge, and we are no different. So we are emergent people. And so there is value to planning. There's also value to allowing and giving ourselves permissions to emerge. So to a large extent, this was a quick summary of the essence of DYL and what we did last time. And I'm going to move forward now to and repeat that once I let go of who I am open to the possibility of who I might be. And while this goes back, centuries and centuries ago, Lao Tzu, but it is in some sense also the essence of design. You let go of the constraints, let go of identities, and let go of stuff that's anchoring you down and holding you back, whether it's limiting beliefs or identities. And suddenly the world opens up for us to engage with, explore, to see who we might be, and to be emergent. So that's where we are coming from. Now, I'm going to now shift to some newer material and ask you, and several of you probably know about flow. Why we do flow in designing your life is because, again, there's a lot of research and science through, you know, Chickman High. And this is a seminal book. It's a heavy book. But the concept of flow is when you're in an activity, whether it's Virat Kohli batting and he's on song, or whether it's a dancer who doesn't even realize the lapse of time, or it's a person who's coding and didn't know that lunch came and dinner came and he's still coding. The question we ask ourselves, and there's a lot of science, it's called the science of optimal experience, creates resilience, creates a sense of well-being, and it creates a sense of meaning as well. And this is all heavily researched, is what puts us in states of flow? Where is it, and what activity do I do, that you notice where time stands still and you're so completely involved that it's almost like a sense of ecstasy, a certain serenity and inner clarity comes, and ego goes away. Is it a sport? Is it chess? Is it reading? Is it gardening? Do you have states of flow, and how many states of flow do we have? And the reason we talk about flow is because that gives us a hint around which we might shape our activities and some even careers, or at least our design of our lives and our days and our months. So I'm going to pause and ask you in chat to to think for 10 seconds and share what states what activities puts you in state of flow, and then you keep that in mind, and Ria and Amit can help read them out as soon as you start putting them in. So what puts you in states of flow? And remember, flow is where there is a little amount of challenge, your skill comes to use, you have a goal, and you're so hugely focused that you're not anxious on the one hand, or you're not bored in the other hand. You're in that optimal zone, like dance, like playing and batting, or like even painting. So what puts you in status of flow?
So we've got a lot
All of
coming
you
in.
can share. Okay,
Swati
lots.
says
Just
art.
read them random.
Sunil
Huh?
says cooking, gardening, coaching.
Gardening,
For
coaching.
Suresh, it's riding, driving, especially in nature.
Nice.
Lakshmi says reading, singing,
Yes.
listening to Western classical music,
Okay.
and sees stitching, craft, home
Lovely.
music, engaged in cycling,
Okay. These
conducting
are amazing
trainings.
examples. Yeah. Amazing examples. Why I asked you to read them out, Rhea, and for everyone with, I was just hoping no one's going to say Netflix. Netflix puts you in state of flow. That's not state of flow, folks, because, and that's the distinction, jokes aside, to be in a state of flow, there is a need for a certain skill challenge dance or balance. It needs skill, it needs effort, it needs a little amount of discipline. Otherwise, the science shows that we're not going to be in states of flow. Now, there are lots of neuroscience which shows why states of flow are very good for us and creates well-being and resilience. And if we can create some activities, careers, vocations, avocations around what energizes us, engages us, and puts us in states of flow, that's great. If in your career, your jobs put you in states of flow, you're blessed. Not all jobs put people in long periods of states of flow. Some of them can be pure drudgery, some can be sublime. You've had your lived experiences, you have to reflect back and see whether your careers or some stints put you in states of flow, because we want to pick up on that. And when you design forward, you want to be intentional about it, because flow is such an important condition. Again, I repeat, plenty of science behind it. Even if it's not part of your career or vocation, do we have enough activities to give us flow? Right? Okay, so that's the concept by Csikszentmihalyi, prominent psychologist. And now the next concept I'd like to quickly introduce, because what we are doing today, folks, is understanding the framework, but I'm priming you to think about your future states, your future lives, your future odysseys, and where you want to go from here. And that's what we're going to spend the last 20 odd minutes doing, because this is designing your life, and let's have fun thinking about three possible futures, three possibilities, or three odysseys. And these are inputs so that we can brainstorm, and you can brainstorm about three possible futures, and that's going to be a thought experiment. And then who knows, it might trigger something, but we're going to ask you to try this out in real life, but we'll come to that. Now, to also have a well-designed life, there's a lot of work by Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania, who's the pioneer of positive psychology, a clinical psychologist, the head of the American Psychological Association, blah, blah, blah. What he introduced to us, and this is something I'd like really for you to carry back, is the PERMA model. So we're going to spend just a moment on PERMA. You can Google it, but very valuable, supported by a lot of research, PhDs after PhDs on positive psychology and what he calls the science of flourishing, subjective well-being, and happiness. And that's what we are after, whether at work or outside, whether in our vocation or in our avocation, whether we are in this activity or that. And the question then becomes is, how do we get to the science has shown that people are looking for flourishing, well-being, and happiness. We can be looking for wealth, we can be looking for meaning, we can be looking for so many things, all there. But this is what is called the well-being theory. And what are the components that give us well-being? So when we design our way forward, we want to dip into science that they've researched over the last 50 years, and that's the PERMA model. The PERMA model tells us that these are things that give us well-being. Each one of them, all of them, some of them, depends on your stage and phase in life. But the P and the E and the R and the M and the A, and I'll just define them to you, is a portfolio that you may want to optimize on for getting to higher states of well-being. So let's see what P is, what E is, what R is. So in a nutshell, all that research comes down to we are always seeking and would like to have and should have, to the extent possible, positive emotions. I think that's a no-brainer. Wherein, happiness, contentment, positive feelings, joys, the small joys, positive emotions. The second thing that creates well-being is engagement. So things that engage us and puts us in states of flow. That goes and rewires the brain and creates meaning, purpose, resilience. But what are the activities that engage us? And it could be a trivial activity. A bricklayer could be fully engaged in bricklaying. A scientist could be fully engaged in building a rocket. And anyone can be in states of flow. It's not the complexity, it's how engaged individually we are with what we are doing. And that has great contribution to our sense of well-being. Relationships, again, I think all of us at my age, your age, at this stage in life, we realize that, and this is also now evidenced by the longest study from Harvard, spanning about 85 years, 4 generations, that the one thing that creates the largest sense of well-being and health and happiness is good relationships. So investing and continuing to investing in relationships is such a big deal. The next is meaning and purpose. And I think all of us also, again, at this stage in life, have started to come to realize that we've gone through our careers and we are lucky if there was a sense of meaning and purpose. And I'm sure there was. It's not something elusive. But now more than ever, we'd like to have more meaning, which is making sense of the world and our place in it, and to be significant and to be of service, and to have purposeful goals which give us meaning and give us direction. So one of the biggest things towards research is shown towards the latter half of life. Remember, we went from fluid intelligence to crystalline intelligence, is a sense of meaning and to have some purposeful goals. This really, and that's why we see so many at our ages to engage and to whether at social service level or taking care of even grandchildren can be very purposeful activity full of meaning. Going beyond ourselves and knowing and making sense of the world and knowing that one matters. That's what the study of meaning tells us, and purpose, right? And I think for me right now, having run a consulting company for 30 years, or 2 rounds of venture capital, setting up in Singapore, China, going back and acquiring our parent company, was all wonderful and amazing lived experiences. I have all gratitude for it, and it gave me a lot of meaning and purpose. But right now, the reason I'm standing up 8 hours and doing teaching designing your life at colleges to the young folks is because it's a sense of giving back and something that's helping them. And with all the cohorts that I've done, it's been very, very gratifying. And I'm happy to do that at this stage in life, and just talk about these ideas to as many people as possible. And those who want to engage at it at a 1 hour level or a 1 day level or a 10-week level, we're available because we think this is very valuable. And the last element is accomplishment. And accomplishment is, you know, most important when we were young. Some of us are still strivers. We still want to accomplish many accolades and money and power and prestige. Nothing wrong as long as we can do it intentionally without getting overwhelmed by it. So, as we design our life forward, ask yourself where you're going to double down on, what gives you flow, where do you get positive emotions, what kind of activities you want to choose, because you want all these five. Now, obviously, all these five are not possible in equal measure, but it's a portfolio. You don't want to be doing something which has only one, because again, it's like a portfolio of stocks. It's like an investment you make not just in one share or one stock. It's risky. We want to have a diversified portfolio. All of this adds to well-being. And if accomplishment takes a hit because of some activity we started, well, relationships will kick in and meaning and purpose kicks in, and one still doesn't feel low, and one still can, trudge along till the next activity, milestone, or accomplishment. If relationships have gone sour, then we rebuild it. And while we rebuild it, we're of service to others through meaning and purpose. And that helps us to heal and we rebuild a relationship. So there's a lot of science behind it. And I invite you to Google and we'll send you literature as well. So, and for meaning and purpose, I love Viktor Frankl's quote. If you've probably read this amazingly successful, wonderful, acclaimed book called Man's Search for Meaning, and it says, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. So so let's look for the why, and we can bear any how. All right, so that was well-being and PERMA. I'm going to ask you to do this at home. For each of the PERMA, you can, mark a fuel gauge, whether that fuel is empty or full, and then ask yourself which gauge you want to up. So if your engagement fuel gauge is low, then you want to increase it. Think of an activity. If there's less, you don't have enough, you think you're not satisfied with the level of meaning and purpose in your life, then think of an activity that'll increase your. So this is just an intentional way of taking stock of where we are on PERMA, and then to come up with small actions so that we can move the needle in the forward direction. And when needles move in that direction and they belong to the PERMA set of gauges, that adds to our sense of well-being. So this was all setting us up, and this is what your gauges will look like. And you might say, okay, meaning, purpose, and positive emotions, I'm fine. The one that's low is, I don't know, well, maybe relationships. You may even define your own gauge, but PERMA is a good place to start. Now we come to an exciting part of all the programs that we do, which is, and I wish we could do this face to face with color pencils, with large chart papers and stickers and paint. And what we are doing is we are going to script, paint, sketch our Odyssey, which is, as the Greeks said, an Odyssey is an adventure. So we're going to sketch an adventure which will probably last for the next 3 to 5 years of our lives. It's just a thought experiment. You look back on your values, look back on what puts you in flow, look back on what's meaning and purpose for you, look back on lived experiences, look back on your career, look back on the life that you haven't lived yet and is still inside you. You wanted to be a singer, never got to being one because you were busy, or you wanted to be a writer and an author and never got to be one. We're just going to have fun and have that thought experiment, right? And do your Odysseys. So these are 3 5-year plans or ideas in this case. And what are these 3? I'm going to define the 3 for you, and then we're going to take a 4-minute break where you're going to sketch it out. And normally we would do this for a few hours, but let's still have fun. In 4 minutes, you'll get a sense for it. So there are three prompts or three Odysseys that we might sketch. One is the story you tell today. Okay. So if your story is you're still working and that's your story, that I'm in the social impact space, or I'm the CEO of this company, or I'm the head of or a partner in this, that's your story you tell today, and you would sketch the next 5 years to see what that might look like, and look at your personal milestones and other milestones and things like that. And is that exciting? And how might you make it exciting? But then we'll also do a thought experiment and say that what if that role is gone? What if you've retired? What if that identity is gone? What if you're no longer a sales head? No, what if you're no longer a teacher? What if you're no longer a whatever you were doing for a good part of your life? And what is that life within you waiting to be expressed? Doesn't matter, just let yourself loose and ask yourself, what is that for me? And I'll just tell you my example. And the third one is, what if status wasn't an issue, money wasn't an issue, constraints were minimal? If you could go wild, what kind of a life would you lead? Now, when we sketch these three out over a couple of hours, we have seen amazing results. Amazing. So we might do it for a few moments here, but I invite you with your family members to set yourself loose and let imagination take over. Don't judge yourself too much. Look at what's worked for you. Go back and tap into your lived experiences and the subconscious and sketch. And for me, it was life one, and this is what I did, and this is my chart. If you can see, when I did this when I was doing many years ago life design. So the first one, to remain and continue as the CEO of the consulting company that I've created, which is QAI. Many years ago, while I was doing this course and this with Bill and Dave, my vision was, what if I could become a life design coach, trainer, and teacher? And look, it has manifested itself. And today I'm doing that. I'm doing life A1 and I'm doing life 2. And I'm spending a good amount of my time living my life 2, which was something that was within me. And then there's life 3. The life 3, which I have not gotten to yet. What I'd love to get to is to be the artist and to get into the creative space. When I was graduating from IIT, I almost became a filmmaker, almost went into photography and film, but didn't. But it's never too late. So that's life 3, waiting to be expressed. And I'm starting that bit by bit. All right. Okay, so this was a sketch, but I'm going to ask you to, well, you don't have the colors and stickers, but can you spend just 3 minutes, 4 minutes, thinking about if you've started something new or you want to start something new. If you don't want to sketch, you can put it into the chat. Maybe we can do that. In the interest of time, why don't you just give it a few moments of reflection and then start putting some ideas on one of your lives, or if you'd like to sketch, do that. And the life is the story you tell yourself today. Don't visualize, or let's not talk about that. If you're working and you want to get into something new, think about what that might be and put it in the chat. If you're already in retirement but you want to start something new, what might that be? And if you don't want to start something new, whether a vocation or an avocation or social service or a project, but you just want to live your values and express them with no constraints, what might you be doing then? It could be just bizarre. One of the people I'd met, they said, I want to be a monk on Mars. And the reason was, he said, I'm to start my spiritual journey and I'm very interested in rocket science. And the way Elon Musk is going, maybe 7 years from now, I will be the first monk teaching and preaching on Mars. But that's just a wild idea. Someone wants to be an artist. And I know Bill Burnett has now become half-time artist. He's a teacher at Stanford. He's a writer. He's an author, but he's also a painter now. And so can I ask you to put some in the chat? Or if you can unmute after 30 seconds and talk. But for the next 2 minutes, I'm going to be silent so you can think about 3 possible futures and you can talk about a few of them or one of them and unmute yourself and talk about it. So everyone, 2 minutes of not four, maybe four, but 2-3 minutes of just a thought experiment. Maybe we'll even play music for 2 minutes.
Sure.
All right. So,
yes, it's
okay, let's just talk. It would be lovely if someone came up with a concept about life 1, 2, life 3. Let's unmute. Let's just share some stories, have some fun on the 3 Odysseys. So I invite someone to unmute and share.
Hello, this is Toral Munshi here.
Hello, Toral. Thank you for kicking it off. All
Yeah,
yours.
I think Navyug, your session has come at a very timely phase in my life. I've just exited from a 30-year career in BFSI sector, working 9 to 9 for a couple of, for over a decade, and have taken a 1-year break.
Okay.
And now I'm in the process of figuring out what I want to do next as my next phase of career. So
Right.
I've actually started exploring certain things, especially in the social sector.
Okay.
Starting off with volunteering, but also trying to see how my past skills can be used
Nice.
more purposefully towards the social sector.
Yes.
At the same time, I think I always loved traveling and just thinking of that wild card, while I have been traveling over the last couple of years, I think if I had no restrictions in terms of family to take care of, or, to be in one place, then probably I would want to be a travel guide, which then allows me to follow my passion of travel as well.
Amazing. Thank you. So many years in the corporate sector, now considering, and we would have spent a few hours sketching and discussing and having fun with your possible journey into the social sector based on all, lots of thinking, reflections, and research. That would have become a paper prototype for you. And your wild card is to travel and to be a travel guide. How amazing. All right. Okay. Who wants to go next?
So I'm from Mumbai. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Subir,
Okay.
go.
Yeah. Yes. So hi Navyug, I know you very well because when I used to work for International Data Corporation in New Delhi, way back, that was in late 80s.
Sure.
In Panchil
That's fine.
enclave, my
Subir.
office used to be there. I mean, you used to visit there very regularly. I mean, meeting Pradeep Gupta, my boss.
Subir.
Yes.
So lovely to meet you. Tell us about your adventure now. What's your Odyssey going forward?
Yes, yeah. So now I'm 66. I'm still working for Arya Communication. So I mean, almost for the last 43 years I'm working, and currently I'm working as a deputy COO in this
What do you want to
company.
do in the next 5, Subir?
Yes. So I want to continue with what I'm doing. I'm introducing new products, new innovative products in the Indian market.
Cool.
I've been very successful capturing the market share in the ATM industry,
Very good.
signing
So you
new
want to continue
contracts.
with this journey?
I want to continue with this journey
Good.
because I get the opportunity to travel all over
right.
the world also. Yes.
Lovely. And that's good. And to conclude, I'll say that's wonderful. It's great that you want to continue with that journey. That's a good state to be in. And as a invitation, I'm asking you to look beyond 5 years then and start building for that also, because a day will come when you'll want to do something else. And so it's never too early to start designing for that. Okay.
Sure.
Karupuswamy, you had put up your hand, and then Naresh.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. For the past 20 to 25 to 30 years, I was working in a private laboratory. And just for the past 1 year, I have come out and I am exploring new ideas, new platforms, mostly into learning. My aim is to give what I have learned all those 30 years to the next generation through public speaking, mentoring, or something.
Lovely.
My uh, uh, failure is due to my low esteem and the public speaking difficulty. I'm trying to come out of that. Probably through these sessions, I will be building my own self-esteem, I think, and I wish I would come up. So, thank you.
Thank you, Swami. But look at the data is that you were one of the first to put up your hands. You know there was no problems at all. You spoke. So please follow. And in the last session, and we talked about it, but low self-esteem is just a limiting belief. So kindly just reframe it, move forward. Thank you for being so quick to put up your hand and articulating well. Good luck. Okay, Naresh, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Navyug. So I have been in the manufacturing sector for the last 35 years, especially into plastic processing. And as a second life, for the last 10 years, I have become a consultant where I am helping startups to set up their own units and their own industries and scaling them up.
Nice.
And as life number 3, I want to become an online coach for, I am starting with spoken English and then I'll be going on to life skills and specialized coaching for the manufacturing sector also. And I've already started working on that. My landing page is ready. Most probably in a week's time, I'll be launching my course.
Oh, wow. So you've got your Odysseys figured, and yeah, there's lots of stuff you can do with it. So I see lots of hands, so thank you for that. I'm just going to um, just make this announcement. I'm happy to stay over for 10-15 minutes. Towards the end, we have some other stuff to share with you and resources and whatever else announcements. So others, please stay back. If you can't stay back, just put it on the chat and we'll share stuff. So let's take a couple more. Who raised their hand next? I don't know, but I see 3-4 hands. So someone start. Okay, Chanda, you want to go for it?
Yeah, I will not take too much time. Now, what I'm in the process of is setting up my advisory services in HR and make myself available to those who do not get the opportunity to use my kind of resources and experiences, which means the small SMEs and the startups. And because they can't afford a senior level person.
Nice.
And those people, I'm also doing coaching and mentoring. Those people who will not get nominated for these programs because they've not been identified as high potentials, but they're very keen to grow and develop. Now, this is what my world was looking like today in the morning, my universe, which I'm expressing to you. And I'm sure I'll achieve it.
I'm sure. So it's so lovely to hear. From the ones we've already heard, there seems to be clarity. Looks like you people are excited going into it. And now the question would be to innovate within it to make it scale, fulfilling and flourishing. But there seems to be so much clarity. Lovely. Okay, so who was there? Geeta, Satish.
Okay. Hi, I'm Geeta here.
Hi, Geeta.
After about 2 years or 2 decades of my corporate life, plus about 7-8 years of other fields and industries of work, I retired 1.5 years back. That is the current story of mine. Is I'm still exploring what I should do. I sat and analyzed, and then I came up to a conclusion. So the second life I am pursuing is I want to stay relevant in the industry, so I am learning. I have I'm in my 3rd semester of my MBA HR online, and I've been HR professional all through my 20 plus
Nice.
years.
Nice.
So being a workaholic, I was not sure, and I am just streamlining my thoughts for the third life as to what does the industry want and from our
Yeah.
senior people like us with so much of capabilities and
Yep.
skills, and we are much needed. And
Yeah.
Hyderabad is where I stay, and a lot of
Nice.
GCCs are coming up, and
Okay.
they would definitely benefit out of what we are doing. So
Okay.
the current manifestation I'm trying to do is I'm unable to pitch myself. That is my weakness,
No.
and
Okay. So, Geeta, that's a
I'm
limiting
going to
belief.
work on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure there are amazing ways to pitch oneself, tap into your strengths, limiting belief. We can do this offline. But again, wonderful to know that you've kind of got your direction for going forward,
Yes,
and good luck to you. But everything is hard work, but it looks like you're excited to move in that direction.
yes,
So
I am.
good, lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for
And I'm
sharing.
going to. I'm going to
Y-
do what you asked us to do. I'll do all
Yeah.
the sketching.
Do the sketching and look at the resources, tap into your values, ask yourself in the PERMA equation what this next phase of life will give you. And then there's a concept called prototyping. Before you scale, you want to do small experiments to make sure this idea is workable, everyone.
Yeah,
And that's the designer's approach to moving forward. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Satish,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hi, to everyone. So good evening. I'm Satish. So far, in 2 decades of experience in IT industry, I'm working currently and as a product manager of artificial intelligence. So my next thing is I want to become a kind of like a trainer and coach, life coach, kind of teaching my knowledge to the
Mm,
young minds. That's what I'm just planning now. Whatever knowledge
mm.
I acquired so far, I want to give it to
You
the
want to
young minds. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing it. I also continue my journey as I'm a product manager. Creating so many artificial intelligence products. So
Wow,
that's I'm just continue to do that.
nice.
And so, while God, if you ask me, then I just want to concentrate more on my health actually. So far I lost many things in my health. So health and is what I just want to give a priority and stay away
Yeah.
from the full time work. As
Yes.
I want to take a light work and also want to continue the spiritual journey. That's
Okay.
my next goal. Thank
Amazing.
you.
All
Thank you
right,
very much.
Satish.
Yeah.
So good, everyone. As you can see, Satish talked about his technical expertise and he wants to continue using it. Then he talked about teaching and taking that and sharing it with the next generation or the younger generation. So important and that's the giving back part of it. Then there was the health part of it, and that's another focus area. And then of course there's the spiritual growth and the spiritual journey, which is very much part of life design. And as so many of us, as we age, our propensity to undertake deeper reflection and spiritual journey keeps increasing. And so, what I'm suggesting, Satish, is to hang on to this and have an innovative design led approach to building each of these forward so that it's iterations of learning and excitement and all the four directions. Okay, thank you. Saroja, over to you. Okay.
On life skills. And
Okay.
that's why I'm interested in all the lectures and all the spirituality, divine, and even Bhagavad Gita, so that I
Mm-hmm.
can compile everything and write a book for younger generation.
Wow.
And maybe later on, when that is over, there is a small garden besides a house, which is a municipal garden. And since I'm interested in gardening, so once I start practicing, maybe I'm going to develop that garden also.
Wow. So, yeah, the spiritual journey and seeking clarity there, and to be a seeker, and then to share it with the younger generation, and then gardening, which is also a fairly meditative, reflective practice, right? The what gardening brings to us.
Yes.
So amazing, Saroja. And I guess again, looks like, what's interesting, Swati, is everyone's kind of already pretty clear and excited. And I can see that because it's, few people are just speaking right now. And so designing your life is a framework that helps you to get the clarity, but it's also a framework that will help you scale if you have the clarity in a more meaningful way to even greater flourishing and clarity. So that's the beauty of this framework. If one wants to figure things out, it's useful. And if one is figured it out, but wants to make sure they're going in the right direction and the right velocity with the right sense of balance, it's also very powerful there. So I'm really urging you all to go deeper into DYL and the book because it has everything in there. Okay, Pradeep, over to you.
Hi, thank you, and good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Well, I think it was good to have this session, firstly, because thank you for that. It helped to compare a lot of notes of what's happening in my life. So that was interesting. Okay, so yeah, I have about like many 30 plus years of corporate engagements and governance, risk, compliance, supply chain, IT, and all that. So that was interesting. And those multi dimensions, and of course, the path of life taught me to sit and devise something which I called a home holistic ways of living an awesome life. That's a give back model framework that I developed, which covers spiritual health, wealth, relationship, lifestyle, career, and contribution. If I put it in 7 key buckets of how it could be. So I also wrote a small book, and then, well, that wasn't enough because you had to practice and see this living in real time and experiment. So that, like I said, the proof of concept and all those things was being tried out. I tried coaching also as part of that experiment to see how people receive it. Okay, so that was the second thing. And then I realized after 1.5 years of corporate passing the corporate life that I shouldn't be losing what I learned through my corporate life, and I needed to include that also. So my holistic framework became more end-to-end, and I decided that I would also look at expanding that to governance as a board advisory, getting my independent director certification, looking at enabling scalability, stability, and sustainability, as I call it, with the diagnostic design and deployment. So between these three, I made another framework now to help startups and people who want to grow at scale and who want to stabilize in their journey. So, well, these three things keeping it busy. The artist in me has always been there, which I try to keep in terms of music, composing, song, and all that. Life's interesting, too much to do, I guess, but sometimes you have to just prioritize and get going what comes first, what comes next, but enjoying it thoroughly. And thank you again for something that reinforces some of the concepts.
Right. Lovely. So Pradeep, thank you. And as you saw and as you spoke, and what I heard was as you went along, knew, your lived experiences with that idea, and you saw that, hey, there's a lot of the corporate experience that you want to bring back. And you're bringing that back through becoming an independent director, and you're also creating a newer framework. And that's wonderful. And then there's an artist in you. And as they say, like I said last time, Confucius said that we all have 2 lives. And the second life starts when you realize you have only one. In designing your life, we disagree and we say that we all have multiple lives within us. And all these lives we can express, some in great level or some in lesser level. But once we have reflected through all the tools and reflections and come in contact with the multiple lives still within us, then we can start to, one day at a time, one brick at a time, give expression to them. So it looks like you've figured out so many of your own passions and lives within you, and bit by bit you're going to work on them. And I invite all others, while you have one great idea, there might be some other great lives waiting to be expressed. So through this Odysseus exercise, look for your other lives, and maybe you'll do 80% of life X and 20% of life Y. But we have one life. We might as well express as many as we can while we are here. and a good creative design-oriented approach allows us to balance and marry it. Okay, Surendra, over to you.
Absolutely well said, Navyug. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking this topic, which is an extraordinary topic and a very useful topic, and has a lot of meaning for people who are at a stage where they have to take decisions.
Yeah.
So, to cut it short, and from as far as I am concerned, I am a technocrat and started my career as research in DRDO, and then switched over to industry. And I've spent about 45 years working in different positions, starting from the lowest level to the board level as independent director also. But it did not give me fulfillment.
Yes.
Even after seeing all these things. And my interest was in research right from the beginning, which I could not make due to some reason or the other.
Yep.
So now I have started on that path.
Oh, wonderful.
And I am now doing a doctorate in AI. And once I complete this in a couple of years' time, then I plan to do research in the same field as well as consultancy in the same field.
Excellent. So again, I wish you luck and start with the experiment, see how it goes, and keep building on it and scaling on it. So thank you for sharing, Surendra. Let's move on. We've gone through the framework. We'll come to question and answers. Like I said, I'm happy to stay back. But just to summarize and bring this to a closure, we've gone from empathy for customers to empathy for self. We must go and recognize and excavate our limiting beliefs and go to limitless possibilities. From having that single identity, perhaps that we've had a major single identity for decades, to how could we build a portfolio of identities, and might that be interesting? I'm not saying we have to, or we should, but an exploration of multiple identities. From money and meaning, it doesn't have to be money to meaning, but money and meaning, and to design for money and meaning in life, or either, whichever works for you in your life. And so we never finish designing our lives. We know that till the last day. And so we must continuously, I urge you to, and I'm on that journey, you're on that journey, we all are, living and learning every day and sharpening the saw and knowing more and more tools for better life design. And they could be from whichever space and bodies of knowledge, and what we are offering through Stanford and the Stanford research is the largely the design tools. So I'd like quickly for you to give us some feedback. Take 2 minutes. It's a very short one, because it's love to know, and we love also your participation in the Designing Your Life mission in schools or in colleges with individuals, and how to create and take this. And right now, so much gratitude for WisdomCircle to provide the platform to bring this to you all. But would like you to quickly take a look at this and spend 60 seconds, and then we'll wrap up for any Q&A, and you can email us or write to us. I'll leave my coordinates, so that if you want any books, videos, literature, references, anything to talk about, happy to do that. So like I said, there's coaching, there's training, there's at school level, college level. I won't get into all this. I'm going to leave my coordinates are probably in the chat if you want any help. I want to open this up for question and answers now. Any further question and answers? Stop sharing. All right. So lovely. And yeah, please feel free to be in touch. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for staying over 20 minutes. Thank you, WisdomCircle. Thank you, Swati, for all the amazing, people you got together here. And I could speak to some of you, but it was still so wonderful to speak to so many of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Navyug. It was a wonderful session. Thank you also for staying past the hour and engaging with the wonderful community here, I will send out all these, and I urge you to please contact Navyug through his email or through LinkedIn or message, and engage further. And I'm sure there are so many things that you want to ask, and you can benefit from all that Navyug has. So thank you once again, and have a nice evening. I'll see you next time on Curiosity Talks.
Thank you. Bye-bye all. And have a great life and keep designing.